On the Newshour Direct, the Foreign Minister Salman Khurshid joins me. Mr. Khurshid, thank you for joining us. I have two sets of questions for you, one on Sarabjit and next on China. Mr. Khurshid, Sarabjit has been languishing in Pakistan in the jail there for 23 years, arrested in 1990. Your government has been in power for almost 9 years now and more. The general view is that your government did not aggressively push the Pakistanis on Sarabjit. In letters written to his family, Sarabjit repeatedly said, "My life is in danger in the prison in Pakistan." Your government failed to take this up aggressively enough with the Pakistani authorities, or this would not have happened, Mr. Khurshid.
Well, are we going by facts or are we going by impressions? If it's only impressions, there isn't very much I can do about it. The facts are that we have consistently, throughout, not from now, but from 2005 onwards, we have repeatedly, very carefully, in a very determined way, we have sought relief for Sarabjit. Our interventions allowed on several occasions for his family to be able to see him and for consular access. Even after Sarabjit Singh's unfortunate incident, not only have we been asking for post-mortem reports and details of the incident, of how he came to his sad and unfortunate demise, but also warning Pakistan government, insisting that there should be access given to the Judicial Committee, which is now in Rawalpindi, and we have once again reaffirmed and asked for the Judicial Committee, where 2 Indian judges are included, former judges, should also have access to Sarabjit Singh and to other prisoners. Everything that's possible is being done. It is an extremely unfortunate incident that has taken place. We are extremely saddened and very, very concerned, and we will do whatever is necessary, both to bring relief to him, his family, as well as protection to all prisoners who are in Pakistan.
Mr. Khurshid, you say that I go by impression, whereas one should go by fact. But the impression is also, Mr. Khurshid, with all greatest of respect to you, based upon some fact. For example, Sarabjit Singh was also tortured and killed in a Pakistani jail. Now, neither did India press Pakistan to return his body, which was returned 2 months after his death, nor is India today pressing for Sarabjit Singh's post-mortem report to be given by the Pakistanis, which they haven't given so far. Now, if we are trying, which you are saying we are trying, then obviously we are not trying in the right manner, with sufficient pressure, or with a certain degree of threat.
I don't know what that means. What is sufficient pressure in diplomacy? All the instruments of diplomacy that are available to us, we are using. We continue to press for the post-mortem report. It is true the body and mortal remains were returned after 2 months. That itself is obviously something which is not necessarily acceptable. But be that as it may, we continue to push as hard as we can. I would be very happy to have any constructive suggestion made by you or any other person who expresses concern as to what more can be done by way of extensive use of diplomatic instruments. Is there anything else that you suggest?
Mr. Khurshid, if one were to ask you this, that in the period that Pakistan did not return Sarabjit Singh's body, it would have been appropriate for India to say that we will disengage with you diplomatically if you don't return his body. We will disengage with you diplomatically if you don't give the post-mortem report. And possibly even now, we will disengage with you diplomatically if you continue to be insensitive enough to say that your 4-member panel has turned down the request to move Sarabjit outside Pakistan.
Well, let's look at it in a proportionate manner. As far as we are concerned, it would perhaps be helpful to both sides if, provided medical condition allows it, he can be flown out of Pakistan, perhaps through an air ambulance brought to India for appropriate treatment. But that's not something on which the medical board has given any clear indication, certainly not up till now. And I can understand that we shouldn't substitute our judgment for the judgment of medical board, no matter of which country. But we have made it very clear that we are willing to take the responsibility to look after him. And this is, in fact, being pressed also as a humanitarian appeal, that if not earlier, at least now, in terms of humanitarian conditions, he could be allowed, or his family could be allowed to bring him back to Delhi or to any part of India where he can be given suitable treatment.
Mr. Khurshid, my last question on Sarabjit and Pakistan before I move on to China is that there is a general impression, and this impression is over a period of time, and everybody cannot be wrong, that the general approach of the UPA 2 government, and UPA 1 also, but more principally UPA 2, is one of appeasement, generally, as far as Pakistan is concerned. Management and appeasement.
Well, I don't think management is a bad word, but appeasement is certainly something that I would not accept. But there is in diplomacy many things that are done and attempted that fall somewhat different from the plans of somebody who doesn't understand diplomacy. I do know when these difficult situations take place, we have to be patient and we have to accept all kinds of criticism. We know what we are doing. We know that what we are doing is in the best interest not only of the person concerned, but also of all prisoners of Indian origin in Pakistani prisons. I think these are extremely difficult and sensitive human situations, and I think we should be allowed to handle them with all the sincerity and concern that we have.
But aren't you worried because in a preliminary probe report submitted to the Pakistan government, jail authorities admitted that the security lapse is the main reason for the attack on Sarabjit. This comes 4 months after Chamal Singh was killed under similar circumstances. They have not given us this post-mortem report. Mr. Khurshid, doesn't this mean that other Indian prisoners in Pakistan jail too are at risk? Isn't this enough reason for India to intervene more strongly at this stage?
Well, more strongly means what? Within diplomacy, or are you suggesting we go beyond diplomacy?
No, more strongly as in with a strong and tough warning to the government of Pakistan.
Let me just say one thing very clearly. Allow the government of India to deal with Pakistan with all the resources that we have and all the experience that we have. And please do not distract both government of India and its officials from doing what today is a very, very serious obligation to fulfill. I think it's a lot easier to talk about these things than to achieve them on the ground. We will do what we believe is in the best interest of the people concerned, as indeed of our country and national interest.
Well, a lot of people would like to see the government more firm. My next set of questions is with you, Mr. Khurshid, is on China. For the first time on Friday, India acknowledged that Chinese had intruded 19 kilometers into our territory as opposed to 10 kilometers, which was earlier reported. Despite such a gross violation of our sovereignty, why is your government downplaying this incident as a localized one? The word localized has been repeatedly used. It clearly is not localized.
Because it is a localized thing. Very clearly it is a localized thing. We don't even know at what level the decision to do this took place. I'm not even going into specific measurements of how many kilometers, etc. You do know that there is a very, very important issue of difference of perception about line of control, the actual line of control. It has not been demarcated. We have, over the years, put together in place a mechanism that addresses both what we need to do about demarcation, as indeed how we address any incidents or issues that arise during this period. And I think that stood the test of time, and we'd rather rely upon that, which is a peaceful way of resolving these issues, than to go into histrionics or jingoism of some sort that would not serve the purpose for either of our two countries.
Did you know it was 19 kilometers? That the intrusion was as much as 19 kilometers into our territory when it was first reported to you?
Let's allow the conversation and the dialogue to take place between India and China rather than between Indians and Indians. I think what is important is for us as responsible government to do what we believe is to be done. Once that's done, we'll report back to you with all details.
No, but you describe the incident as acne, which can be addressed by simply applying an ointment. 19 kilometers intrusion into Indian territory, Mr. Khurshid, I'm sure you will agree, was an attempt. You were attempting to downplay it by calling it acne.
As I said to you, when the incident is resolved and over, we'll report back everything to you. I think please don't allow anyone to distract us from our present purpose, which is to continue that dialogue with a sense of determination and clarity, and knowing fully well what our responsibility is.
I understand that, Mr. Khurshid, that you don't want to upset anything before your visit to China. But one thing people would like to know, Mr. Khurshid, is that China seems to, one of the conditions which China has put is that we should stop our infrastructure, military infrastructure building activities, and also demolish our fortified positions. Do you believe, broadly, without going into specifics, that China can determine for us how we should build or not build our infrastructure and military infrastructure on our side, on our land? Do you think it is appropriate for any foreign country, including China, to determine that for us?
Well, I'm sure that you know the answer for yourself. I've clearly said that many of these discussions, I'm not a participant in a seminar. I am India's foreign minister, and my duty is to India to do it, to ensure that Indian interest is protected in all possible ways. And therefore, it's important that both tactically and strategically, what we are doing with China, what we believe we have to do with China, that we keep that within certain confines, and we will let you know and share with you every little detail.
Two quick questions, Mr. Khurshid. I can understand that you are not wanting to go into details, but one question I must ask you is that there is a growing political opinion, and I underline the word political, Mr. Khurshid, that you should cancel your visit to China. This visit is a precursor to the visit of Premier Li Keqiang on May 20th, but coming as it does with this standoff at the border, can you really skirt this issue when you meet the Chinese on the 9th of May? Can you skirt this issue, or will this be the main issue?
Let's be careful with our words. We have difference of perception and certainly a difference on the ground as it stands today. I don't think that I would use the word standoff unnecessarily or a confrontation unnecessarily, as what the government thinks is appropriate to do to keep up contacts at the levels at which we have contacts with China.
But will it be merely a
that we have made in China?
Will it be merely a preparatory visit for the Chinese Premier's visit, or will you raise the border standoff issue as aggressively as people of this country would expect you to raise in this very important visit of yours, Mr. Khurshid?
It is customary on the eve of one's departure for another land to let the press and the people know what exactly is the purpose of the visit, and I'm sure that before I leave on the 9th, I will let you know as well.
Now, last question, Mr. Khurshid, and I know you want me to let you go immediately. Last question to you. Do you believe Indian diplomacy is soft? Yeah. Why does political party after political party and social commentators and elsewhere, political analysts, strategic affairs analysts, all seem to be saying repeatedly that our diplomacy has gone soft?
Well, I would have accepted that as legitimate criticism if they felt that any other dimension and aspect of Indian politics is doing well. Since they don't have a good word for any dimension of Indian politics, I take it that this is a common pattern of their perception, and we will just carry on doing what we believe is in the national interest, and the people will in due course judge. I don't think the manner in which lack of objectivity has been displayed in assessing what the government is doing would be an exception in the case of foreign policy. Having said that, I promise you we will do what we believe is the best thing for our nation, and we will not compromise on any interest.
Mr. Salman Khurshid, Foreign Minister, thank you very much for talking to me. Thank you, sir.